Hey there friends, Brian King here reporting from iPhone Central. Out running errands today. It's hot, so I've got my AC cranked up, and I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you about being yourself, being authentic, putting yourself out there exactly who you are. And I've had some chats with some of my male clients over the past couple days that are really reflective of this point. You know, one young man that I just began working with has a lot of anxiety. I mean, to the point that it's often difficult for him to leave his house. So we're going to be working on that. But what caught me the most is he and I were both just sitting there in our t-shirts, you know, because I went to meet him face to face for the first time. We're in our t-shirts, just relaxed, and he's telling me about all the amazing work that he's doing online in terms of computer design. And my brain, as it does with all of the thoughts spinning throughout the day, started thinking about how the world is migrating away from the corporate model. You know, this idea that you need to show up with a starched shirt and a tie and a sport coat, and that is the measure of professionalism. Well, more and more you're seeing people work from their houses. You know, things are being outsourced in order to save corporations money. And when you're working from a home environment, you can work all day in your PJs if you want to. You know, and when you're quirky like myself and like this young man, you no longer have to sell people on some college degree where you spend a lot of time learning information that you will never use on the job. So one of the beauties of what I've been able to create for myself as an entrepreneur is I've been able to focus on a few of my skill sets, the things that I really rock at, and turn that into a business that I now sell to my clients. You know, my problem-solving ability, my creative problem-solving, my ability to make connections, think outside the box, that kind of thing. If I was expected to have a great memory, to take copious notes during board meetings, and, you know, wear the sport coat, I'd be miserable. I'd be slower than everybody else. I would have a hard time keeping up and remembering things, and I would probably become a source of frustration for everybody else on the team. In fact, I did have that experience when I was in the private sector as a social worker many years ago because of my learning difficulties. But when I work for myself, I can forget all that stuff, take it out of the equation, and focus on what I rock at. So what I told this young man is that the world is more and more moving in a direction, technologically speaking, and more towards the entrepreneurial model that allows you to sell yourself on the competitive marketplace being exactly who you are. So even if you are a bit of a social misfit, well, a lot of the transactions that are going to be needed for you could be negotiated through somebody that you hire, typically called a virtual assistant. You know, somebody who handles scheduling, appointments, that kind of stuff. And you crank out the work that is within your zone of genius, and you are making yourself a living being quirky without having to measure up to anybody's artificial standards of professional. Now, I'm not saying that you want to refuse to grow and explore opportunities to become more socially effective, because there's a lot of value in that. But we can only move forward so much as far as that goes. You know, one of my mentors, Leanne Holiday-Willie, she's a woman with Asperger's. And she said one time in an interview, I'm as close to normal as I'm ever going to get. You know, she's learned the skills, she's read the books, whatever. But at some point, we hit a threshold. You know, our capacity, because those quirks are always going to remain. We can learn new skills, but we can't change who we are. And that's a very important distinction to make. Now, the other thing that I want to touch on is another client I was talking to. He said, you know, sometimes I beat myself up because I don't have enough education. I don't make enough money. You know, I'm not strong enough. And my question to him was, says who? You know, whose standard are you measuring yourself against? Did somebody walk up to you at some point in your past and say, dude, you're not man enough, your muscles aren't bulging, or hey, you're not contributing to society because you're not making such and such an income level? So I really encouraged him to reflect upon that, and I encourage the same for you. Any thought that crosses your mind that tells you you're not good enough because of some specific standard you're supposed to hit, ask yourself, says who? Who told me that line of BS? And why did I decide to believe it? Why did I decide to embrace this as a truth? Hey, Sarah. Hey, Trenton. Thank you so much for joining in the conversation. I really appreciate you being here. So reflect upon the things that I've said today and what I've shared. And if this has been helpful, share it with other people. And if you haven't stopped by my website yet, please do. It's BrianRaymondKing.com. Getting back to my errands now, and I'll check back with you later.